Welcome to the Real Estate Syndication Show. Whether you are a seasoned investor or building a new real estate business, this is the show for you. Whitney Sewell talks to top experts in the business. Our goal is to help you master real estate syndication. And now your host, Whitney Sewell.
This is your daily real estate syndication show. I'm your host, Whitney Sewell. Today, our guest is Tim Lyons. Thanks for being on the show, Tim.
Thanks for having me, Whitney. Pleasure to be here.
And Tim has an incredible story that I know you're going to be inspired by today. I know I've heard many stories over the last few years that have helped to inspire me and get us where we're at and just keep me motivated and focused and on track. And I think this is going to be one of those for you as the listener. A little about Tim. He's a principal and managing partner at Cityside Capital LLC. Tim is currently a lieutenant in the New York City Fire Department. Until recently, he also worked part-time as an emergency room RN at a level 1 trauma center for 8 years. He brings years of real-world management and leadership experience to his real estate investment career. Tim's initial goal with real estate was to create passive income and in turn be able to spend more time with his wife and 3 girls. Congratulations on the family and just even the goal to be able to spend more time with them, Tim. Looking forward to this conversation and I come from a similar line of work, which Tim, and are just first responder type and looking for a way to be at home more. So give us a little more about who you are, Tim, and background, and let's jump in because I just think your story is. I hope listeners will listen to just your commitment and just that decision that had to be made. And let's get into some action steps that you took. But let's go back and learn a little more about you.
Great. Thanks for the introduction, Whitney. I appreciate that. So, yeah, I'm 38 years old. I'm married and three girls, right? And until recently, I had 2 or 3 jobs at any given time. So I'm a 15-year veteran of the New York City Fire Department, and that has been the pleasure of a lifetime to work for the FDNY. I come from the school, like a lot of people, that I was taught to, get good grades, go to college, get better grades, figure out what you want to do, contribute as much as you can to your 401k. And then someday you'll be able to retire, and someday you'll be able to get into real estate and enjoy your life. And until maybe a year and a half ago, that's the trajectory that I was going on. And I found myself working 70, 80, 90-hour weeks, trying to work more overtime in the firehouse, working in the level 1 trauma center ER. I'm working 12-hour shifts, and, I'd get up early and leave before the girls got up, and I'd come home and it's, witching hour at the house because everybody's tired, ready to go to bed. And then the next day I go for a 24. It wasn't really bad until they got to be right, because when they're young, they don't know, which end is up. But when they got older, and I'm starting to coach sports, and they're dad, you just left, you're leaving again for another 24. I'm like, oh my God, it dawned on me, Whitney, that I need to make a change. So, it's going to sound kind of cliche because you hear this on a ton of real estate podcasts, but there's one book in particular that changed everything for me. And would you like to take a guess at what that book might be?
Is it purple?
So it's Rich Dad, Poor Dad, right? Everybody, a lot of people say Rich Dad, Poor Dad, right? So I'm on vacation with my family last summer, and I can't put this book down. And at the time, I was going through some mindset shift and some personal development, and that book fell into my lap at just the right time. So right then and there, last July, I made a commitment to get into real estate, to make a difference. And 3-4 months later, I purchased my first 3-family property. But until, from the summer of 19 till November of 19, when I purchased that property, I turned off the news. I turned off Pandora. I turned off radio. I turned off everything. And all I did, Whitney, was consume content, audiobooks, podcasts like yours, Bigger Pockets. I mean, I can go on and on and on about podcasts, right? And, I have a pretty significant commute to work, at the firehouse. So I just turned my car into the university on wheels, and that's all I did. So, 4 months later, I have a 3-family property. And, a lot of what I think about now and what I do is, it is mindset. I committed to real estate, and then I took action. I had no idea how to be a landlord. I had no idea how to get financing. I had no idea how I was going to come up with a down payment. But, once, because one of the guys who I love to read is his name is John Assaraf, and he talks about being interested in something or being committed. And if you're interested in real estate and you're like, yeah, it's something I want to get into, but then, oh, you know what, it's too hard, I don't get it, I don't have any money, how am I going to be a landlord, I don't know anything about it, so I'm just going to go back to the couch, get my bowl of Doritos and watch Netflix, and I'm never going to change. Or you can be committed and say, all right, I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to figure out how I do this. I'm going to surround myself with the successful people around my inner circle, and I'm going to, what I like to call R&D, rip off and duplicate. Because if you want to collapse time frames, if you want to get to where you want to be, then there's no time to reinvent the wheel. Especially being in my late 30s, there was no time for me to kind of do that. So that's what I did. I mean, I just went out there and I figured it out. So
yeah, congratulations. It's incredible. I do hear, I don't hear enough stories like this. I do hear, I hear, people that get motivated, they get committed or they get interested. I thought that was interesting. You're talking with that author, and he says, are you interested or are you committed? And I think it's important to ask ourselves that, right? You think you're going to start this new thing, but are you really committed to it? And it's obvious, you were committed to it. You said in 4 months, you had your first multifamily property. But, I'd like to even back up just a little bit. You read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and obviously that's been such a game changer for so many people in this industry or just real estate altogether. Is there one massive or one major thing that you took out of that was like just turn the light bulb on for you?
Well, it was the overarching theme of the book that the middle class work for their money and the rich have their money work for them. And it does sound cliche, right? You're like, oh, that makes sense. But when you read his book, and it's one of those books that just flows so eloquently, you can honestly just see right away that there's a whole other level of like personal finance that is not taught to you. And you either have to, be told it, or you need to go out and seek that information. And, after reading that book, I just went down a ton of different rabbit holes, right? I mean, all of a sudden I'm reading books on taxes and, things where I thought I was never going to even, touch upon. So it was that overarching theme that you needed to have that velocity of money. You can't save your way to wealth. So, I mean, that was pretty much my main takeaway from that.
Nice. Yeah, you can't save your way to wealth. I like that a lot. So then you read that book, and then you started probably expressing these things to your wife or your family, and what were some responses, and what were your or how did you develop an action plan, and how did that go over with the family?
So, I wish you could see the look on my wife's face when I'm like, babe, I'm getting into real estate. She's like, all right, Tim, whatever, man. But it's,
you already got 2 jobs, like, right? And now you're going to do something else.
I mean, exactly. Right. So she knew that I always had an interest in real estate. I used to talk about it, all the time. But she saw me like when I was working full time as a fireman, and my wife's brand new married and she's pregnant with her first child. I'm going back to nursing school at night. Studying, getting good grades, and getting my degree while I'm working full time. So she knows that once I commit to something, I'm going to make it happen. So when I kind of formulated the plan, and she was like, Tim, go for it. I think we both kind of needed that proof of concept with that first 3-family house that we bought. We needed to see, what is it like to put the sweat equity in? What is it like to be a landlord, getting phone calls, taking care of stuff? What are the expenses? What's the income? How is it going to affect our taxes? Do we do it in an LLC or not an LLC? Do we, how do we finance it? All these questions, the whole process I went through. I felt really prepared for it because of listening to the podcast, Bigger Pockets, reading different books. And then, when everyone talks about scalability, I remember coming home from the closing of the 3-family, and I said to my wife, I said, babe, I'm going to buy 30 of these things. and we're going to be on Easy Street, and all of a sudden I'm putting a new roof on, and I'm gutting the first floor apartment, and I'm like, I cannot, this is not scalable at all. Which led me down the path towards, where I am today as a real estate, syndicator. And, I very quickly had to decide, like which route am I going to go? Am I going to go 3 families and duplexes and quads, or am I going to go to multifamily? And I didn't know the first thing about multifamily. So what did I do? I went out and I figured out who are the leaders in this space, guys like yourself, and started listening to the podcast. And I decided to check out some of the mentorship programs. So I started making phone calls, talking to some of the people who I reached out to on BiggerPockets or LinkedIn or Facebook. And I would take those conversations offline and say, hey, I saw that you're a part of that program. Tell me all about it. So I ended up going with the mentorship program, Jake and Gino, and it's probably been one of the best decisions I've ever made in my entire life. I mean, the community is second to none. You hear these things, and when you're on the outside looking in, you never really know what it's like, because you're going to come out of pocket, and people, I think, get stuck saying, well, I can't afford that, or that's too much money. But I cannot even begin to describe the level of confidence, the caliber of people that you surround yourself when you decide to commit and take that action, and view that price tag as an investment in your education, as an investment in yourself. And there's no better investment you can make than an investment in yourself. So many different doors have been opened. I've networked and met so many tremendous people. And I can honestly say that the reason why I'm closing on this 43 unit syndication on Monday, August 10th, is because of this community, so
Congratulations. That's incredible. That is incredible.
Yeah, thank you.
I like to tell people, like a mentor is just, it's such a game changer. It's so worthwhile. Yeah, but you do have to do some due diligence to find a good mentor. No doubt there's some due diligence there. They're not all created equal. I'll definitely say that. However, Jake and Gino, I know both those guys personally, just amazing guys. Some of the most genuine, the great community and just great guys. I know a lot of people in that program and who have been successful but so much about joining a mentorship program like that, you are buying into the community. Right. You are. That's part of what you're getting. And it is a big part of what you're getting because, that, and also that mentor can introduce you to other people that you need on your team. Right. It saves you so much time, in trying to find that individual and depending on what you're looking for, what teammate really or team member is missing. And so no doubt that's incredible. And so mentorship or finding a mentor is definitely something I find people ponder on way too long. Like, get your due diligence done, do your research. No doubt you got to do some, but pull the trigger and unless, find that mentor, it's going to just save you so much time. What are, maybe 1 or 2 things, Tim, that because of that program, helped you to get this syndication you're fixing to close?
So obviously, the person who I'm doing the joint venture with is somebody in the community who gave me the opportunity of a lifetime to kind of get into this deal with him. And who would have thought in 13 months where I didn't own any units, and now I'm going to own 46 units. And then there's another deal, a 200 plus deal that's right behind that one coming down the pipe. So, so within maybe 18 months, I could potentially be at the, 280 something unit mark. That's incredible. Just think about that. So not only that, so everybody talks about real estate as a team sport, right? So maybe not in single family rentals where you can do everything by yourself with the I'm a mentality. I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that and I'm going to take care of everything. But with commercial real estate, it's a team sport, right? So you got due diligence, you got underwriting, you got property management, you got to walk those properties, you got to meet brokers, you got to meet lenders. Really, there's a ton of stuff to get done, and then that's just to get it under contract, and then you got to do your due diligence, and then you got to raise money. The biggest learning curve I've had so far is that nobody can hold your hand to raise money, right? Because there's 3 things that you need in order to raise money. You have to have people that know you, like you, and trust you. and they don't even give a hoot so much about the deal itself as the fact that they're trusting you with their hard-earned capital. So what I've found is that I'm telling the same story over and over again to my friends and my family. So one of my goals, for 2020, 2021, and going forward is to work on my platform and my education piece. I'm trying to get blog posts out, articles written, because I feel like multifamily real estate, cash flowing assets, is the way to go for investing. And it may not be the only way to go for many people, but people don't, by and large, don't know about real estate syndication. What does it mean? How do I get into it? But yeah, just the raising capital piece was a big learning curve, but I actually enjoyed every minute of it. I mean, those are two things, but you know what, reaching out to the community, somebody has a resource. Somebody can help you. We got teamed up very quickly with another member in the community, and we've been working with him underwriting properties, and nothing's come to fruition yet, but I mean, we've been close. So
speak a little bit to managing the the job, the real estate business, and the home life. It's difficult. We did it for a few years, trying to make this happen to where we're at now, and it has not been easy, and it was not easy. It was extremely difficult. But just like you, we had to commit and just had to keep taking action, keep pushing forward. But go elaborate a little bit on that aspect, because I feel like it's not talked about enough. I know when I speak, I mention that it's just not talked about enough, because it's all, you see all the success, in some people, but you don't hear about the difficulty. And just speak to a little bit about how you manage that and are still managing that.
Yeah. So, I mean, with real estate, it's a marathon and not a sprint. And when my wife and I were committed to this, the plan was to work while the girls were in school. And I joined the Jake and Gino community the first week in March, and everybody knows 2 weeks later, COVID hit. So now I'm doing Google Classroom, and I'm doing ABCs and 1, 2, 3s, and it was insane. So because I'm a New York City firefighter, I work in the borough of Queens, which was hit pretty hard by COVID. And I work in a poorer neighborhood, and people are on top of each other. So we were doing CPR on COVID patients 8-10 times a 24-hour shift, and nobody was making it. I mean, it was insane. So I ended up quarantining from my family for 6 weeks. I moved into a family member's house, and they moved into mine to help my wife out. And I just, wow. That was a period for me where I just worked. I worked from 5 a.m. till 11 o'clock at night. That's where I got the majority of my learning done, my phone calls, my networking. And I think it kind of catapulted me a little bit. But, talking about that process, you were just talking about it now, is I'm up at 5 a.m. each morning because I need to get my work done before my girls wake up. So from 5 to 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning, I get a tremendous amount of work done. Then I got to be with them during the day for a little bit, and then I schedule my calls kind of around, them pretty much, hoping and praying that school starts in September, right, Whitney? Yeah, it's hard. I mean, it is just hard. So I had to walk away from my hospital job, which was ultimately the goal. But there's no way that you can just get into real estate and just kind of do it a little bit or dip your toe in a touch. So I did have to commit, and I walked away from that comfort of the paycheck every 2 weeks in order to grow both personally and grow my business to the next level. So cool. It's a balancing act. There's no doubt about it.
Is there a way that you communicate with the family to let them know, just what you're working on, or, just so that, that you're not just leaving and not at the house, it's helpful if they can kind of see the bigger picture, I like to say. Is there any way that you found to do that?
Yeah. So, I brought my 2 older girls, the 9-year-old and the 6-year-old. I brought them to my 3-family house on a number of different occasions. When the first floor was torn apart, and then just brought them back to see the finished product. When I mow the lawn and shovel the snow, they come along with me. So, I think they're too young really to really grasp the whole idea, but I like to show them what daddy's doing. And then, this new deal, the 43 unit, I just basically have told them that, look, I mean, daddy has 3 units here, but then the next building has 43 of them. And they're like, whoa, so it is kind of fun to keep them somewhat engaged, because I want them to know all the things that I'm figuring out in my mid to late 30s. I want them to know that kind of early on. So,
sure. So congratulations again on this first syndication. Tell me the hardest part of the syndication process or journey for you so far.
The hardest part is to get a property under contract, right? I mean, that is one of the hardest pieces. And then I would say capital raising, and then getting your investors over the finish line, has been quite the, it's been quite the process. I mean, yes. So capital raising for sure. But I do love capital raising. Talking about real estate is something that I just love. But we analyze a ton of deals. And what I love about commercial real estate is that it has to make sense on your spreadsheet, right? I mean, you can underwrite a deal. You can do it back of the napkin in 10 minutes with a spreadsheet. And then if something seems to make sense and you're hovering over a sweet spot, you can really dig in. And if it doesn't make sense, you don't waste any more time on it. It could be the sexiest property on the block, but it doesn't make sense on the spreadsheet. You just move right on. So that's a challenging piece, because you got to go through a lot of no's before you get to a yes.
Especially the first time. It's difficult.
Especially the first time.
It gets easier though. Yeah, it gets easier.
I hope so.
Yeah, you build systems. You learn so much from the first time you're doing a capital raise. But what's the number one way that you've recently improved your business that we could apply to ours?
Improving the business would be to, my brother is my business partner, so I get to talk to him, every day. But we recently, decided that, like, listen, we need to have a strategy call like on Mondays, and we need to plan out, all right, what are you doing? What am I doing? And then, holding each other accountable. Hey, did you get to this? Hey, this is what I did. That has been a huge piece, because on a certain level, he's my brother. So I can just talk to him very frankly, right, about a lot of stuff. And then now that we're doing the business together, the relationship has changed and it's growing, right? But so we're just trying to get those systems in place. So that's been one thing. And then just leveraging other people. It is a team sport. So, getting those networks, getting those conversations done. That's been a huge piece for us so far.
What about your best source for meeting new investors right now?
Meeting new investors. So, I mean, I'm putting out not a lot of content, but I'm putting at least one blog post out a week. I'm connecting
That's
people
good.
and bringing Yeah, I mean, that's my goal, right? My goal is one blog post per week. I'm currently using ActiveCampaign and building out a funnel and an automation process as we speak, to kind of help out with some of those systems, but also LinkedIn. I've been meeting a ton of people on LinkedIn and taking those conversations offline. And people are like, listen, like, I'm a really successful doctor, or I'm a successful engineer, or I'm a successful business owner, entrepreneur. How come I don't know about syndication? And why is Tim, the firefighter nurse, telling me about how I should invest my capital, And so it's a pretty cool conversation to have. And I get a lot of like, whoa, like, that's incredible. Like, and I'm like, yeah, so it's having those conversations. So if nothing else, that is kind of, taught me that I need to concentrate on content, getting content out there, because people are willing and able to invest in real estate, but they just need to know how it works.
What's the number one thing that's contributed to your success?
Mindset. So in the beginning, I wasn't ready to hear it. I guess I had that scarcity mindset that people talk about, I would tune into real estate podcasts and I'd hear mindset all the time. And I'm like, what are these people talking about? I just want to hear about nuts and bolts about real estate, equity and this and that. And when I finally, kind of caught on and started doing some more personal development and reading and audiobooks and, having more of an abundant mindset, I feel like, I may not be the most successful person at right now as we speak in commercial real estate. I'm no Whitney Sewell right now, but I feel like I've already won, because I've had that mindset shift, and I feel like I've already won the game. So that's been huge for me.
No doubt. I mean, just that getting to your first syndication, like you're so far ahead of 98% of people that are interested, like you said before. They think they're going to get into real estate, but they're not truly committed yet. And so what, let's see. Tell us how you like to give back.
So how I like to give back. I mean, so
you're already
right
a firefighter.
now,
you were a nurse. I mean, it's incredible, how you've already given back, but I always like to ask.
Yeah. So that's a great question, man, because that's something that I've been thinking a lot about. Like, how can I make more of an impact? And aside from just like my personal, like being like my girls' coaches for different sports and everything like that, but I'm talking about impact the way I'm impacted by real estate. I want people to know that this is an avenue that's open to everybody. And even if you don't think you have enough money, even if you don't think you can do it, like, I want to talk to you and I want to tell you that it is possible. And it's starting that conversation and letting blue collar people like firefighters, cops, first responders. I mean, that's one of the things I would love to do, is to maybe start a podcast and get this information out to my fellow brethren out there, because a lot of us, like, we're like, oh well, we have a pension, or even a lot of departments have shied away from pensions and they're doing 401ks, and that's the goal. That's what everybody talks about around the kitchen table at the firehouse, is pensions and retirement. And it's not never, but very rarely is it about real estate and how to invest. And and I want to bring that more out to everybody, that everybody can get involved in one way or the other. So that's going to be my main thing, is how do I make an impact?
Nice. So Tim, I'm grateful for your time and just really hammering in on just the commitment that it takes and that decision that has to be made, and just taking action. Congratulations again to you for doing that and getting even to this first syndication. I'll look forward to hearing about that getting across the closing table and moving on to the next one. So congratulations for just having that mindset, making it happen, really making that decision, because I think we can all do it, but the decision has to be made and you have to commit up front, like you've talked about. But how can listeners get in touch with you and learn more about you?
Yeah, so you can check out the website at citysidecap.com, CITYSIDECAP.com. And then my email address is tim@citysidecap.com. I'm also on Facebook and LinkedIn. Tim Lyons, just make sure you spell it Lyons.
Thank you for listening to the Real Estate Syndication Show, brought to you by LifeBridge Capital. LifeBridge Capital works with investors nationwide to invest in real estate, while also donating 50% of its profits to assist parents who are committing to adoption. LifeBridge Capital, making a difference, one investor and one child at a time. Connect online at www.lifebridgecapital.com for free material and videos to further your success.